Sabah everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I have for you my review of the Razer Phone. I've had the device for about a couple of weeks now, and now I'm ready to share with you guys my opinion of the things that I liked and the things that I did not like about the Razer Phone. It's 2017 at the end of the year, and now we have finally a display that can give us 120 Hz. Let's check it out. Before I go too far, I'm going to give you guys real quick the specifications of this device. The name of the phone is actually the Razer Phone. It's made by a company called Razer, which is a gaming company. So this is their first forte into making smartphones. And we see some of those aesthetics. And of course, this phone is also the kind of like the grandchild of the Robin phone that we had last year or the year before. And that was essentially a phone that was made by a Kickstarter campaign that had a lot of unique features. So they took a lot of those aesthetics, and we see some of those still present here with the current version of the phone. We have a Android 7.1 on board, running hopefully with Android Oreo earlier next year, and we are looking at a 5.7-inch display. It's a Quad HD display, 1440 by 2560, 515 ppi, and we are talking about, as far as the actual hardware on this device, it is a beautiful panel. It's an LCD panel that's powering 130 Hz as far as refresh rate on this display. So that's one of the unique things about this device. Going a little bit further up, we're looking at the cameras. Now we're looking at dual cameras on the back of the device at f1.8, and they're dual sensors, so you're going to be able to try to get a better performance out of there, and we'll talk more about the camera. We are able to record 4K up to 30 frames per second, and also we have an 8 megapixel front-facing camera capable of recording 1080p at 30 frames per second. The hardware, as I mentioned a little bit before in other videos at least, we are running the Qualcomm Snapdragon 835 with 8 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of internal storage, expandable with micro SD card, and of course fingerprint sensor. And one of the other main unique things about this is it has a 4000 milliamp battery. Now, one of the things that I did not necessarily like about this is the lack of a 3.5mm headphone jack, although the rationale behind that is that we were able to get an additional 500 milliamps to be able to go to 4000 on the battery. Had we had a headphone jack, we would have been stuck at 3500. So the question would be would you rather have more battery or a dongle to be able to use that 24-bit DAC that they gave us on that additional accessory? So as I explained to you guys with the specifications, some of the main benefits of this device is right outside of the box. You'll notice the aesthetics, and then this is where we see a lot of the heritage from the Robin phone, the boxiness of the device, the look, the fingerprint placement, and of course the grills on the phone. Now, one of the things I want to make sure you guys are aware of, that the grills here have a purpose. We are looking at some of the best sounding speakers on any mobile device in 2017. They're front-facing, they're stereo, they're Dolby surround tuned, and you're also able to configure them using the settings in the actual device. On the front, as I mentioned to you guys, we have the 8 megapixel front-facing sensor with some of the sensors, and this essentially isn't just a plastic grill. And if you've ever seen a teardown of this device, you'll know that the speaker is roughly sitting right here and right there, and that's one of the things. It just has really good experience as far as using it. The bezels on the side are very minimal, and we are again looking at a 5.7-inch Quad HD IPS LCD display with 120 Hz refresh rate. Now, unlocking the device is very simple. You're using the fingerprint sensor, and it takes you directly in. That little number that you'll see in the screen, just keep an eye on that. That's the frames per second. This is basically like a consistent counter telling me what's the refresh rate on my device as I'm moving. And as I go around, as I come around, you'll notice as the screen has to actually refresh, we're looking at 120 refresh frames per second straight out of the box. And this is what you're getting. You're going to be able to use this on the device all the time. This is configurable in the actual settings. You go under Display. Let's go all the way to the top, Display, and then you'll notice it's sitting right there, refresh rate. You're able to cap it at 120, stick at a 90, or go down to 60. You also can customize this as per app if you want to be able to use this more customized, meaning keep it at 60 frames per second to be able to get a longer battery life. And even at 120 frames per second, consistent all the time, and basically no issues at all with the performance. I've been able to get about a day and a half worth of usage out of this 4000 milliamp battery. And that, of course, is with still me being able to manage my YouTube channel, constantly responding to comments, posting videos, updating things. All of those things, I'm still able to get that much battery power out of it. Now, you may have noticed as I'm using the device that this launcher does not look like a standard launcher. It has some similarities to the, let's say, Pixel launcher or the Google launcher, but this is Nova Prime. Nova Prime is one of the best customizations or best launchers on Android, and that's one of the beauties of it. You actually get that as a default launcher here. You don't have to install it separately. You don't have to customize it. It is there. Overall, what you're getting here is the best customization options, and I think this is going to be appreciated. If you've used a custom launcher, I'm pretty sure you know what Nova is, and you appreciate how good it could be. Now, I'm going to talk about this, but I'm also going to give you guys links to be able to kind of reference this. I've done some speed test and RAM management on this device, and this guy's a boss. I compared it to the OnePlus 5T. I've also compared it to the Pixel 2 XL. Now, the Pixel 2 XL had 4 gigs of RAM, and it did stutter, and we only did about, I think, nine applications at that time. But yesterday's video, if you guys got a chance to opportunity to check that, I was able to go up to 15 applications here on and comparing it to the 5T, since the 5T had 8 gigs of RAM, similar to the way we have it here. What I want to talk about most right now is the camera. A lot of people have talked about this. I want to start by saying this is a media consumption based device. I think this is how Razer was really focusing on this. Razer wanted it to make sure that it has the best display they could put into it. Now the display, a lot of people have said that it doesn't get bright enough into the sun. It's very reflective. You're not going to have a best experience. And that's true. It's an IPS display, and it doesn't actually get as bright as most IPS displays that we've seen in the past. It's not bad. It's acceptable. That's one thing I'm going to say. It's not an AMOLED display. This is not a Note 8. It's not going to get super bright in the sun, but it is usable. The camera, on the other hand, is something that I've had some challenges with, and I've been using this device for a couple of weeks. I've taken pictures. I've tried using video for it. The reality of the matter is, at the end of the day, I just don't think this is going to be a great camera. Software may be able to update it, may be able to improve it a little bit. Now, you'll notice there's 2 camera applications here. I did actually port over, I brought in an application that was posted on XDA that was basically the Google Pixel camera ported over to other Snapdragon devices. So this is running the 835. There's no reason why it wouldn't be able to run it. And you'll notice right there, by default, you'll notice the options that we have here are different than what we get with the standard camera. This is the Razer-based camera. The camera by itself is similar in as far as the layout, but we only have settings. We don't have any other options. There is no use of the dual lenses in the back to be able to create any kind of like blurred out background, bokeh, any of that. None of that is present. So when we bring over the camera from the Google, from the Pixel devices, you definitely have more options. We have HDR+, we have the ability of doing lens blur, photosphere, panorama. This is a giant ant that I was at Local Fries Electronics. Now, this picture was taken with the camera itself, and here I took it again. I tried to turn on HDR, it didn't kick in right away, and here, actually in this picture it did. But again, when you zoom in, it's very soft, and it just never gets a really good sharp picture. When I did switch it over and I decided to take a picture with the Google camera, you'll notice that the sharpness kind of pops out a little bit more here, and it looks a little bit better. Again, you can improve the camera performance on this device using the Google camera, but again, it's not out of the box, so you have to always make sure to get that. I'm going to give you guys a link in the description below, of course, to be able to pick up that camera and then sideload it. The device has a lot of possibilities in it. Why has Razer not updated that camera? I'm not sure. But we have been promised that more updates will come through. Since I've had the device, I've had one OTA come through that did supposedly update the sound quality and improve the quality of the audio out of the speakers. Although reports are actually coming down now is that they reduced the audio output. So when out of the box, when I got it, it sounded a lot louder. So that review that I show you guys in the link has a much louder bass performance or sound performance out of this than any of the other devices we've seen. So the 24-bit DAC that's built into this adapter is definitely very nice. It's threaded the way you would expect any kind of gaming keyboard. It does have very nice audio output. It does work with the Pixel 2 XL. I did test it out. It does not work with the OnePlus 5T. It does have some limitations, but the audio playback is very nice. Is this ideal? Comparing this, saying that I got an extra 500 milliamp battery space as opposed to having a 3.5mm headphone jack, I think the compromise would have been still better. I think the software performance and the 835 and the amount of optimizations that we have within Android, we should have been able to get a much better experience at 3500 milliamp and kept the 3.5mm headphone jack. And the reason I say this is over time, either this is going to get damaged or we're going to lose it. And the fact of the matter is gamers like their headsets, and 3.5mm headsets are still a lot better than Bluetooth at this point. We're getting better, but we're not seeing very high quality 3.5 USB-C adapters. And not only that, at this point, it's starting to show some of the wear and tear right there on the edges, and that's from using it for a couple of weeks. At the end of the day, when we want to talk about camera, I think the cameras on this device are okay. Are they the best? No. Is this going to be something that you're going to buy this device for? I don't think so. If you're buying this device for the camera, you're buying it for the wrong reason. You should really consider doing this. You're going to buy it for great display, great audio, great RAM management, great quality of sound coming out of those speakers, as well as that little dongle that, God forbid, we're going to probably lose at some point. So those are the things you want to keep in mind, and that battery life on this is amazing. Overall, the device is very nice. I think it has so many things going for it that the few things that it's not working for it are very minimal. The 3.5mm headphone jack, I think that's going to be a preference at the end of the day. For me, unfortunately, I kind of keep forgetting the dongle at home, so I end up using Bluetooth on this, or I ended up having to use the actual speakers on it, because it's actually loud enough that even in an outside environment, you're able to listen to your device. That's one thing you want to be aware of. And it's facing you, it's not going away from you, so you don't have to kind of like put your hand on the side, let the sound echo back to you. No gameplay. You just put it down and you're ready. And a lot of times I've actually just put the device down, speakers facing up, and I use that as a boombox. That's how loud these speakers can get. The display, 120 Hertz, definitely very nice. You have the ability of customizing the device. I've done a lot of different videos for this, so I want to make sure you guys have all the information you want. But you can customize the way the refresh rate is customized per application and not have it run at 120 Hertz all the time. I personally want to get 120 Hertz. I want to experience that. And then once you use that on a device, which unfortunately I don't think translates well on video, you'll notice other devices running at a much lower refresh rate. It's hard when you see it, you have to automatically do a comparison. By default, most of us are used to 60 frames per second, although AMOLED can go to 90 frames per second, but it is capped at 60. I'm hoping 2018 will bring the new age of advancement in AMOLED, where we are able to see 120 Hertz and get that display quality that we want. Because at the end of the year of 2017, the 835 was basically in almost every device on the market. The amount of RAM that we were provided depended on the manufacturer, and of course RAM management also depended on the manufacturer, as you guys have seen with the speed tests that I've done for you guys here. So all the videos that I've done and all those things are going to be linked in the description below, categorized with the speed test, the audio test between the different devices that I did. This is really my end result on this device. It's definitely buy. Get it. If you're a gamer, this is going to be a must. For 2017, it's one of the better devices. Is this better than the OnePlus 5T? I'm going to say yes, in the sense of what it offers more. Bigger battery, better display, and also better RAM management out of the box. And of course, better audio reproduction. Even though we don't have a 3.5mm headphone jack, we have a 24-bit DAC as well as front-facing speakers, loudspeakers. So like and subscribe as usual. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, thank you very much for the support and, you know, hitting all the comments and everything. I like to engage with you guys. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. I'll try to answer all your questions, and I'll see you guys in the next video.